property management and residential property management. And it's about the disclosure of material fact. So, and this is really important, and we must get questions about this, multiple questions per day. And Rosemary is usually the trainer and assessor here who answers these questions, and it's something that she said to me today. She's in teaching a certificate of registration class all about property management today, so that's great. But she said, oh, please this afternoon talk about material fact in tenancies. Now, possibly the first thing as an agent, if you're working in property management, you should do is read the new Landlord Information Statement. So it's brand new. It's a requirement that landlords need to acknowledge that they've received it from you and that they've read it and they understand it. And you have to have a record that they have responded to that, and the acknowledgement that they've received it and read it and understand it. But have a good read of it yourself. It's 5.5 pages long. You can download it from the Fair Trading website. It's called Landlord Information Statement. And if you're working in property management, you don't know what it is, you need to. This is really important. Came in on the 23rd of March with the new residential tenancies regulations. So on the very first page, and I'm really not going to go much further than the first page because it talks about that a landlord needs to provide a property that is fit to live in. So what does that actually mean? It means that it's structurally sound. It means that it's got adequate lighting in the bedrooms. Obviously, garages, storerooms don't count there for artificial lighting, but it has adequate natural or artificial lighting in every room. It has adequate ventilation, so windows that actually open. If there's an issue about the need to, if there's been a mold issue there, then perhaps you need to look at windows that open and windows that have fly screens on them so they can be opened. The property needs to be supplied with electricity or gas, have enough electricity and gas sockets to enable lighting and heating and all other appliances. So not saying there has to be one on every wall, but adequate, not one in every third room, as has been disclosed in other places. That there needs to be adequate drainage and plumbing. There's a water connection that can supply hot and cold water for drinking, washing, cleaning. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be town water. It can be tank water. But there has to be a water connection. Okay? It must have bathroom facilities, including toilet, washing facilities that allows the user's privacy. So not an outdoor shower, and that's the only one that's provided. So it's amazing what some people do try and rent out. So it also has to be, available. It has to be all light fittings are working, and there needs to be a working globe in each of them. The property needs to be reasonably secure. There needs to be safety measures, health and safety measures adhered to, such as pool fencing, windows, smoke alarms, balcony safety. That there is council approval to actually use the property as residential premises. So, that all has to happen before you can even start looking at a tenancy. Then there's the main material fact that comes down to the new definition of material fact in the Residential Tenancies Act, and also what we've just received in the reforms into the new Property and Stock Agents Act. So, the things that you, as an agent, on behalf of your landlord, because you are in their shoes representing them as their agent, you need to disclose if the property is planned to be sold. If the property is subject to court proceedings, if there's a mortgagee issue on the property, if it's in strata schemes or there's a strata renewal committee, meaning that, more than 75% of the owners are looking at renewing or redeveloping the property or the actual strata scheme. And then you get into, if you know or you knowingly mislead by hiding information or not telling a tenant or prospective tenant about the information, if the property's been subject to flooding from, natural weather disasters, not broken pipes and things, but natural weather disasters, or there's been bushfires in the last 5 years, quite relevant for those of us in, on the eastern seaboard at the moment. If there's any significant health or safety risks where, if the property's been inspected for something, and here mould is a major issue in a lot of places. Had that discussion with someone just today. if it's been the scene of a serious violent crime in the last 5 years, if it's listed on the loose fill asbestos register, if it's been used, here's one of the new ones, if it's been used to manufacture or cultivate a prohibited drug or a prohibited plant in the last 2 years. 5 years on those other ones about the fire, flood, serious violent crime. 2 years about the manufacture or cultivation of drugs or plants, prohibited plants. If it's part of a building where there's a fire safety audit, if it's in a strata scheme where scheduled rectification work is to be carried out, if it's affected by zoning or laws that won't allow the tenant to obtain a parking permit, and there's only paid parking there. People need to know this information. And a part of all of this is, looking then across at the lease. If you have a look at the new lease that came into play on the 23rd of March, there's 56 changes from the old. Yes, we went through and counted them. From the old lease that was in play prior to the 23rd of March. And there's new information that needs to be disclosed about the smoke alarms, about smoke alarm batteries, about embedded networks. And they're the sorts of information that you as a property manager need to be asking your landlord. You can't put it into your lease if you don't know the answers. And this is what the lease is what can possibly end up in a tribunal matter and you needing to defend it. So you actually need to find out all of the relevant information and making sure that material fact is disclosed where it needs to be disclosed. I know I've laboured that point, but it's so important and it's such an issue that we're talking about, more than once every single day, which means that there are lots of agents who want to be discussing all of this. So guys, this is a really important process to be undertaking. If you're in property management or you're the principal of an agency who has a property management department, this is something that, you need to sit down and talk about as a property management department, whether there's one of you or whether there's 20 of you working in that department. It needs to be a process that you are undergoing.